Hi everyone, it's Miss Financial Freedom at MissFinFree.com. Today we're going to be going over the income and expense tracking spreadsheet. So a couple things you'll notice as you first open it up. You'll see the year listed at the top. You'll also see a tab with the year at the bottom. This is so that as you do this year over year, you can simply come over here, copy and paste the same tab, change the year, clear out your contents, and you can have a view of how your income and expenses shape up over a long period of time. Now, one of the other things you'll notice as you first get comfortable with this spreadsheet is you'll see the months listed at the top of the page. This is because we're going to be tracking our expenses and sources of income on a monthly basis. Most come in on a monthly cadence, and so we're going to go ahead and record those on a monthly basis. The other thing you'll notice here is we have a section for the expenses at the top on the left here with a total row, and then we have sources of income listed below that with a total row, and then we have the net income. Now the net income is simply your total income minus your total expenses, and that is the remaining value. So in this case, with our sample data here, January was a financially positive month for me. That's why it shows up in green, and I ultimately have a net income of a little over $2,000 for the month of January. You'll see those total rows span every month, so you can see how your expenses shape up each month as the year goes on. Same for your income down here at the bottom, and net income as well. And then at the very far right in the total row, you're going to see your expenses totaled up for the entire year, and below that your income totaled up for the entire year, and your net income and how that looks overall. Of course, you want to make sure every year is positive in terms of your net income, but this will help you get a sense of exactly how you're doing as the year goes on. So let's go into a bit more detail in the expenses section here. I've listed out all of the typical bills that a person pays through the course of a year. You may have some adjustments to make to this section. For instance, I have one credit card listed here. If you have multiple credit cards, you might want to make an adjustment here that just says, that one's my Chase Visa. I'm going to insert another row, maybe for my Marriott Bonvoy card. That's an American Express. And that way you can just enter whatever the additional expenses are for each of those accounts. So the whole point here, remember, is to make sure that we have a holistic view of all of our expenses and all our sources of income so that we can get a big picture view of our financial situation. From there, of course, then you can make more specific decisions such as, can I afford to buy a house? How do I know if I can afford to buy a house? Well, you help put this picture together, and this will give you a starting point for making a big decision such as that. So I'm going to go ahead and just cancel that out and put that back to normal to make this easier for you to follow going forward. If you have other bills here that may not be listed, say you pay something else, just go ahead and make sure you add a row to represent that bill. Insert the value and go ahead and insert whatever your expenses are for that particular bill. I'm going to delete that again. You might have noticed just there, it's like, well, why are some of these cells gray and most of them are white? I don't understand what that means. A gray cell is purely meant to indicate I'm not expecting to receive that bill in that month. So for instance, home insurance, I pay on an annual basis, and that bill comes in April. So April is the only cell that I have that's white. And that means I'm expecting to receive a bill in April to pay my home insurance. Same goes for car insurance. Again, annual payment, I get a discount for paying on an annual basis, so that's why I prefer to pay it annually one time instead of paying it every month. If you pay it every month, no harm. All you're going to want to do is change these cells to be a white background, no fill. And that's simply a sign to yourself that says I'm supposed to have a value here. So say you pay, $34.54 for your month of car insurance, whatever your value is. I find that using that little trick to help indicate to myself where I'm expecting to receive a bill and where I'm not expecting to receive a bill is very helpful. For instance, I have a lot of things going on. I don't know, you might be a little bit like me in that you have a lot of things to manage, and at the top of my mind through the entire course of the year is not what month is my home insurance bill going to come in. So this just helps give me a peace of mind. So when I'm, going through February and into March, I'm taking a look at this going, oh yeah, I've got my home insurance and my car insurance bill coming in next month, and if I have to pay in on taxes at all of those things are going to hit me in April. So I maybe need to be a bit more conservative on my spending through the next several weeks to help make sure I have enough room to cover those bills because they're going to be coming. So I'm just going to elaborate on taxes here since I went there. I do have a line item here in the expenses section for your state and federal income taxes. This is in the event that you end up having to pay in any amount. This is a placeholder for that. You'll also see the exact same row down in the income section. That is, if you happen to receive a tax refund for your federal or state taxes, then you will of course enter it in this section down here in the income part of the spreadsheet. Now, if you're a go-getter and you receive those maybe in February or March, then you're again just going to want to change the background color of the cell to indicate you received that at a different time, and go ahead and put your value in there. The reason, again, I use those background colors is I don't like, if I were just to have this home insurance row completely empty with white, and I'm looking at that, it looks like I've forgotten to input some values. And of course I haven't forgotten, I just haven't received them, and I'm not expecting to receive them. So it just helps me stay organized, and again, gives me a bit of peace of mind to know I know exactly when that bill is going to come in, so it makes things a little easier for me to manage in that regard. So as you can see here, I have sample data that has already been entered here in the January and February month columns. Same for sources of income at the bottom. You might be wondering what these parentheses are for. Well, parentheses are used in financial institutions to simply indicate it's a negative number. If you would rather change that to a negative number, you just right-click Format Cells. You can pick whatever depiction you like. If you just want it to show up as a generic negative number, maybe you want to show it as red if it's negative. It's really whatever your preferences are. You can make those adjustments. It is good to have some checks and balances in here to make sure that in your expenses section you are inputting negative, like color it red if it's negative. That will help you catch any area where you accidentally input an expense as a positive number. I have done that before, I'll do it again. So whatever it is your tip or trick is going to be to manage that, just go with it, and you'll be perfectly fine. I'm resetting that back to the parentheses just for the sake of consistency as we continue to go through. So now I'm just going to touch on the income section at the bottom. You can see here I have a line item for paycheck. If you have multiple jobs, or maybe you get paid multiple times a month, you might want to make some adjustments here. I get paid one time a month at the end of the month, so I just have a single row with a single value in that particular month. If you get paid maybe twice a month, you might want to have 2 rows. So maybe you want to insert another row here under that just says, second paycheck. And then, of course, just whatever the value of that second paycheck is. If you have multiple jobs, this would be the same way I do it. So whatever that second job is, just making sure, again, you have a holistic view of all your sources of income in one place. And that's the purpose here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that back out. Repayment proceeds. Like, what in the world is repayment proceeds? So I have a comment added to that row that says a repayment proceed is essentially when I buy something on behalf of somebody else and they pay me back. That's what that repayment proceed is. So for instance, I went to a concert with a very good friend of mine, and the tickets cost $100 a piece. And so I didn't buy the ticket on behalf, I did buy the ticket on behalf of my friend. My friend paid me back $100. That's essentially what that's meant to indicate. So I'm going to have spent an extra $100 that really wasn't my expense, which is why I'm basically going to cancel that out, because I only want a view of my expenses, not everybody else's expenses. And it's generally a good practice in those cases to insert a comment that just says what that was for. That way, as you get later in the year and you're taking a look and you're going, man, why did I, have that extra $100? You can just go back and, oh yeah, that's right. That's when we went to that concert and I bought the ticket, so she paid me back. You can also see here I have a row for annual bonus. I receive an annual bonus. It comes in March every year, which again is why I only have that cell as a white background. Maybe you don't receive an annual bonus. Maybe you receive a Christmas bonus. Maybe you don't receive any bonus at all. Whatever the case is, feel free to make adjustments for your needs. Below that, I have taxes. Of course, I already touched on. If you have any investments where you receive an index fund dividend, I receive a dividend 4 times a year. So I receive it in March and June, September, and in December. So I have all of those set up so that I know exactly when I intend to receive those. It's a reminder to go out and check what it is, input it here, and move on. And then savings interest. We all have a standard savings account that's earning us probably just pennies in interest. But again, because the whole point of this tracking spreadsheet is to provide you one view of all your sources of income and all your expenses, and generally how you're looking health-wise from a financial perspective, then we want to make sure we have it in here. So that's that. I mean, we have the total rows for all of the particular months so that you can see how you do on a monthly basis. If we scroll all the way to the right, you can see the total rows for each of these particular sources of expense at the top and income at the bottom, with your annual net income calculating as the year goes on. Of course, a good year is going to be a year where that is in the green, hopefully highly in the green. But this again is just intended to help you get a sense of how you're tracking as the year goes on, and if you need to make some adjustments as the year goes on. So feel free to make some adjustments to this. Be sure to set it to whatever your particular needs are, and enjoy tracking your finances. I can assure you this gives you a really weird sense of accomplishment every month. I get excited to fill this out because, not because I enjoy the task, but because it gives me a sense of calm about knowing where I stand financially. And unfortunately, there's no view of this outside of doing it on your own. And so when you get these things in here and all of your expenses are captured and all of your income is captured, and you can see, hey, you know what? I saved $2,000 this month. It was an awesome month. This was really good. You just feel so much more confident over your overall financial position than if you don't know and you're not tracking these things. Again, even if you have a bad month and your month is showing up in the red, then you can kind of go, whoa, okay, I'm out of whack. And, I'm not getting out of debt. I'm getting further in debt because I'm spending more than I'm making. And so it's just, again, that signal to yourself that says, I've got to start to do something. And, while maybe I can't curb my electric bill, maybe I can curb my cable and internet bill a little bit. Maybe I could spend less on my credit card. I should probably start looking at what I'm really spending there and scrutinize that a lot more than what I have in past. But again, it's just a starting point for creating that conversation and making some adjustments to put yourself in a better position going forward. All right, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.